welcome to Boomhauer69's channel, and today I'm gonna be trying something new here. I'm gonna try this new software here, and hopefully this will work better than what I've been previously doing for videos, where I just look at my screen and read the articles, and then you just see my face and you don't get to see the article. So I'm trying this new program out and seeing if it works, where I can do possibly reaction videos and stuff. And so I found this article online as a test to try this out. It says 50 people who took woodworking to another level and shared the results in their online group New Picks. And this is just pics of woodworking, so I'm just going to scroll through and look at the pictures and give my thoughts on it, like a reaction video you see on YouTube a lot. But yeah, it says here, number 1, beautiful projects I've been working on for a few months, thought everyone here would like to see. That is neat, adding little slide out shelving like that. To me, that's neat, I know a lot of houses have in the past where they have a little funny little closet storage underneath the staircase. Now, when I was a kid growing up, my grandma's house, hers had something kind of like that, but instead of a little shelf or closet, you would actually open up the door and it would take you down in the basement, where her staircase that went upstairs was like this, and then then down below with the staircase to go in the basement, because she lived in an old house that had an old fused stone dirt floor basement, and stuff, and so she lived in an old house. I think it might have been even 100 years old, or it might have been built back in the 40s and 50s or something, It was a house that her and my grandpa years ago bought, and it had a similar staircase set up like this in a funny little hallway, but instead of where the shelving is, instead of shelving, it had a door, and you would open it up and it would take you down in the basement, in the dirt floor basement, which in Michigan we always called Michigan basement. Yeah. This might lag a little bit because I kind of got right now poopy internet. My internet's not too great, so don't be alarmed if it lags and kind of acts funny. But it says, dare I say the never-ending fence is complete. Now this is neat right here. He took, from my understanding here, he took a bunch of viney branches and really made a never-ending fence. Yeah, I'll try to scroll down slower and not be so fast to give you all headaches, I know moving the camera around and stuff can cause some people headaches. Now that's neat right there. Long ship cradle I made for my first grandchild is complete. To me, that reminds me of the story of Moses floating down the river, the Bible story. If I haven't heard that, I'm familiar a little bit with the Bible. That right there reminds me of the Bible story of Moses floating down the river, in the basket. Owner wanted to cut down the tree for deck, but I talked him into building a bench around it instead. I think it turned out nice and saved the tree. Yeah, that is nice. I can see, somebody, sitting around that under the shade in the hot sun in the summertime, sitting around in the shade and eating them a meal or having a cigarette break, because I grew up around chain smokers, unfortunately, and they all had to have the nicotine. I could see that being like a little spot where you would have a sandwich, or if you're a smoker, you'd have a smoke. I don't smoke, and nor do I care to smoke, because it gives you cancer, bad habit, and no thank you for me. And I don't smoke weed neither, so. Reflection of perspective, 150 by 9 centimeters complete and Art Deco inspired piece. Now that is neat right there. That, I'll tell you, if I had that right now, I wouldn't be displaying that on my wall. I'd be snapping photos of that and putting it on eBay, trying to sell it to the highest bidder and becoming rich, I tell you what. But I'll tell you, that is neat right there, you know. Definitely whoever has that and made that, if they ever want to sell that online, like on an auction, online auction, what I would highly recommend doing is getting you a good photographer, take good quality pictures, and I guarantee you get a lot of money. I bet something like that could easily fetch $60 or $50 to $60,000 or even $100,000. You know, people spend a lot of money for crazy art. And number 6, I got my first display at a local store. Now that's kind of neat, the little shelving there, what he did. That's kind of neat. I find that kind of interesting. I always thought about trying to make some of those wooden spoons. Like, I always thought it'd be neat to make the decorative ones that people just hang up in their kitchen, you know, the big old tall ones. The fork, spoon, and spatula, set. I know you can buy those decorative pieces, but I always thought it'd be neat to try my hand at making my own. I don't know a whole lot about woodworking, so, it'd be a learning experience for me. Number 7, due to high cost of wood, I decided to make a playhouse entirely out of free pallets and free roofing. That's something I always thought would be neat to do, is out of pallets, just build something like that, a little, not necessarily a little playhouse thingy, but I thought it'd be neat to build take some scrap wood, not necessarily pallets as well, but build like some sort of like little tiny house or something, I always thought it'd be neat to build like a little 8x8 kind of little tiny house shed out of scrap wood and stuff, and try to make it, something that you could easily load up on a trailer and small enough, and you could give to a homeless person. I always thought it'd be neat to take some scrap wood and build a little tiny house for a homeless person. But the only thing is, I don't know how to build anything. I'm not a carpenter, construction guy. I don't know how to do that stuff. And plus, I don't know any whereabouts of homeless people. I don't keep tabs where the homeless are at in my area. I don't know, unfortunately. I know some places that I could go to and talk to, and they could tell me, but... And plus, I don't have the funding neither to be doing that. But maybe someday. And I do know my brother is a computer drafter for a construction company, so I know people that could teach me how to probably do that stuff. But 8, carved a rope and knot from base wood. That right there, it's neat, but it's just one of the things. If I saw that in a shop somewhere for sale, I'd probably just kind of say, oh, that's neat, and just walk on by it. To me, it's neat, but it's nothing that tickles my fancy, as some people call it. Now, that's neat right there. It's far from perfect and not finished yet, but I'm really trying to make my parents' porch look like. That is neat. You can tell it went from crappy porch to he made a nice porch, whoever that was. And to me, that's neat, Seeing that old rickety porch reminds me of my grandfather's old abandoned house that he never fixed up. Because I had a grandpa years ago that years ago, he bought a fixer-upper house, and he lived in it until you couldn't live in it no more, and then he never did right. He never fixed it up and did right, and he just let Mother Nature take it over. And then when I was a kid, my parents used this old abandoned house as a tool shed until it finally got to the point where you couldn't even use it as a tool shed no more, and it just ended up now a pile of rubble. 10. I made this Orca Music Box. Now that's neat right there. Now that killer whale there, the killer whale, that reminds me of the movie Free Willy. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, Free Willy. Way there, but yeah, that music box. It'd be neat to hear what that plays, I bet if you looked hard enough, there's probably a YouTube video out there of somebody winding that up and playing that little musical box. It says here in number 11, I carved a tiny maple owl. Now that's kind of neat. Now something like that maple owl. Yeah, I should see the little Facebook and Twitter popping up. It's because I'm moving my arrow around. But yeah, that little owl there, that, to me, that seems kind of neat. I could see making something like that into like a doorknob for like an interior house door, like a closet door or something. You know, like let's say you got a big living room area and it's got a closet and you want to jazz up the doorknob. I could see making something like that and making like a doorknob kind of cover or whatever. You know, if you're into birds and you're just kind of going for a birdie theme. Ooh, that's neat. Number 12. Wayfair said the outdoor sofa wouldn't arrive until September, so I took matters into my own hands and I found a simple plans on YouTube, and this was my first ever using a saw. That right there's neat. I've seen other pictures and videos about people taking wood, like pallets, and making furnitures out of them. Now, the only thing I wouldn't care much for is that's probably a gas fire pit, and I wouldn't care for a gas fire pit. If it was me, I would go with a nice regular log burning wood. You know, to me, there's just something about a nice wood burning fire that you just can't beat. You know, that's what I would go for instead of a gas one. But still, the furniture, I think whoever did it, they did a nice job. You know, that's really neat. Ooh, 13. We just finished up Rapazell's Tower, I can't pronounce that right, Tower, and Cottage Playhouse. Next up, a bit of landscaping. Now that is neat. I got my childhood friend, he's got children, and I know they would love to play on something like that. I tell you what, if I had the money and the knowledge, I'd build something like that for him and his children. But yeah, because my childhood friend, he's got 5 children, and they're all at that age where they would have a ball on something like that. Over the summer, I helped him build a little playhouse thingy. I helped him put together a little plastic slide he bought off the internet. One of those little tunnel slides for this kid. And all it was just screwing nuts and bolts together. That's all it was. Putting a bolt through the hole and putting a washer and a nut on it and tightening it down, you know. 14. Just finished this jewelry box for my grandma, made mainly of oak from stairs of her old house. Now that is neat right there. The only thing is I would hate to see is somebody went through the efforts and made a nice sentimental valued jewelry box, and what I'd hate to see is somebody then break into the person's house and take that jewelry box, you know. That would be, that would make me, if it was me, that would make me mad, but yeah, that's really neat, you know. It's amazing what people can do, you know, with just your mindset, you know. Even what I'm doing right now, I just found this software to help me out, and I've been wowed by it, you know. Because I haven't, you know, I've seen a lot of software out there, and I finally found one that works for me, and I was so excited to be able to finally be able to do this sort of reactions to this stuff. And this article here I'm using as my test run. 15. Nightlight I made for my wife. Why buy one for $3.99 when you can make one for $30 and 10 hours shop time? Yeah, that is really nice. Now, if I tried to do something like that, the first thing would happen to me is the electrical part of it. I'd be getting electrocuted and getting zapped, when my whole town would be asking me why their power's out. You know. And plus, I couldn't do that anyways. I wouldn't know how to build that little shallow box thingy. Yeah. 16. Me carving epic fight scene. Goku versus Theta out of wood. Wow, that's one talented boy right there. I don't know much about animation videos, anime as they call it, so I don't know those characters. I don't pay attention to anime. Ooh, 17. Salvage wood from hollow frame. 7'2" surfboard. 7 foot by 2 inches surfboard, I guess. Now, seeing that surfboard there always reminds me when I think of surfing the band from the 50s and 60s, the Beach Boys. Because when I was a kid growing up, my mom and dad were from that era, and they really liked the Beach Boys, and I liked some of their songs too. You know, Surfing USSR and Little Deuce Scoop. You know, and when I listen to that music nowadays, since my parents are passed on, you know, I think about all the times I went with my father to car shows and stuff, and hearing that sort of music. You know. Finally, 18. Finally, I can show off my final projects of my apprenticeship. Yeah, that's neat. They're a nice little end table drawer. You know, I like how it's got that kind of modern look to it. And now I don't necessarily the color's okay, but if it was me, I'd probably jazz up the color a little bit more. It says 19. My finished journeyman's piece, a desk made from walnut and ash with a computer inside. Now that is neat right there. I tell you what, if I could do something like that, I would. That would be neat right there to have. A desk with a built-in computer. Too bad there wasn't a way to add a built-in monitor that is automatically lifts up, you know, and retracts up and down, you know. Like some hot tubs have a built-in screen that will pop up and down, you know, that. But still, that is neat. Now, what I would do, to be honest, instead of a computer like that, I would do one with like vintage gaming consoles, like the 1985 Nintendo Entertainment System, and then deck it out in like Nintendo theme. Because I'm a big fan of the old classic Nintendo machines, because I grew up as a 90s child playing the 1985 Nintendo Entertainment System, and man, that would be neat. 20. Finished oak desk area for a local school library. Yes, now that is neat as well, that little library desk there. That's neat. 21. I'm a beginner, and this is my first time not half-assing out of frustration. Oh, the cute little doggy there. Bark, bark. Yeah, that's a neat little dresser. Ooh, rockin' Tronanta, poplar and red oak. It was a fun one. So they used poplar, I have a hard time pronouncing that, and red oak wood. That's neat. Now, when I was a kid, I had the old rocking horse and the old straw tail on the back of it, you know. 23. Solid walnut dining table I made. Now, that's a neat little basic dining table. That's one thing I kind of like a lot of times is when it comes to furniture, just kind of basic stuff, you know. It's kind of neat, and that would be neat. Put some nice chairs around that. 24. Thanks to you all and your massive love for my first piece, I stuck with it. I refined my process, so I bit the bullet and built one out of walnut. Ooh, that's neat. And that's on 24. That's a neat art. That's a neat piece right there, you know. You gotta really admire people who have this time and skills and can ambition to do all that. That's just amazing. And let's see here, 25, a piggy bank I made for my son. Now that's a great way to teach a kid how to save his money, you know. The only thing is I'd probably add a little bit bigger jar than what they got, you know, so we could add more money to it. 26. Career change. I wish I would have done it sooner after a year of being an apprentice in a cabinet shop. This was my big project on my own, from design to build to finish. So they made sliding doors. I like the hardware up at the top on that, and the hinges and everything, and that's a really nice, it all goes really together, man. I'd love to have that in my house, because, see, I got in my house a lot of case openings and stuff, and I always thought it would be neat to kind of, if I ever got a wood stove, I would love to have, like, doors to kind of seal off the case opening, so if you want to trap heat in just in one room in the winter. Maybe in the near future I could do something like that. 27. Trust the process. That's a neat curved shelf, they drew it out and then they made it. Yeah, that's neat right there. Definitely would like to have that fireplace. Yeah, that's a kind of neat shelf, 28. African mahogany plus white cord entryway bench. Yeah. That's a neat bench. That looks like pretty sturdy. Me being a big guy, I imagine if I sat on that, I'd probably bottom it out and give everyone toothpicks, DIY pandemic playhouse with door and movie. Now that there is something basic, but it's neat, I think that's neat, it's great that, there's guys out there that, build that sort of stuff for their kids and stuff. That's a really neat, And the cool thing is, probably for a while, the person that built that, their kids were probably pretty popular ones on the block, What I would do in a situation like that, if I had the skills to do that and stuff, I would make out of wood some little fake, like, little cars, so the kids could pretend that it's a drive-in movie theater, Now this is neat right here. Number 30. I built a screened-in porch on the back side of my cabin. Now that is neat right there. Now if it was me, I would definitely make sure something like that you could use at all 4 seasons, because I live in Michigan in the cold weather. But if I had that on the back of my cabin, if I owned a cabin or house or whatever, I would definitely make sure I could use that all year round. But man, that's neat. I like that wood stuff, because when I was a kid growing up, I lived in a mobile home trailer that had wood paneling in it, and so I really like kind of wood, walls and stuff like that, I really like that kind of cabin feel. That's what I always like, walls and rooms that make you feel like you're in a cabin instead of a house. 31. I carved a trefoil. Wow, I carved a trefoil knot on a soil piece of cherry. Well, that is neat right there. 32. First project, sofa arm tray with a slot for the phone and a little gap for a glass cup made out of laminate, bamboo, wood, stripe, and recycled beech wood in the miter joint. Looks simple but has a complex detail. Thing is, that's neat, but I'd be afraid of knocking over my drink on that one. But yeah. 33. I designed and built this 4-plant shelf myself, currently in hard maple with maple plywood. That's neat there, I can see somebody being a plant lover and having that. 34. Covered project. Ooh, that's some nice decking there. I wish my porch looked like that. I got an open porch that's really old. Wish it looked like that, Maybe in the near future I can do something like that. 35. I don't do many outdoor showers as a cabinet maker, but when one of your good customers say it says cost is no issue, I try my best. Yeah, that's really nice. An outdoor shower. The only problem is I'd hate to be outdoors, nudie and have somebody flying over with a drone snapping photos of me showering, especially if I had no clothes on, you know. That's the only negative, so probably what I would do is have, if I had something like that, maybe build like some sort of covered roof over it so nobody can be peeking deeking. Yeah, 36. The house isn't much, but I'm pretty proud of this porch I built, red cedar. That's neat. Now, what I would do there is for like instead of steps, I would build like a nice little ramp where you could easily later on, where you could easily, you know, build a little ramp for wheelchair accessible, you know, in case you get at old age and you need to get in a wheelchair and around. That's what I would do there, is add a little ramp to that to make it easier to for guests that might be in a wheelchair or whatever the case may be, you know, or old age. 37. I made this for my girlfriend and I'm really proud, not gonna lie. 24 by 48 with rings for holding potted plants. Wow, that is neat. It's neat how these people can do all this stuff and they have all this time and they can really, you know, they have that skill hand and can do that stuff. You know, I wish I could do some of this stuff, man. Wow, you know. And to these people out there that did this, you know, you should make some duplicates and try to sell them and see if people be interested in them, because some of them are really neat. 38. Finished 2 of these bad Oscars a couple of weeks ago. Floating bedside table in walnut with new genuine walnut poles, finished with Osmo. Yeah, that's neat. The only thing is I'd be afraid of hitting my head on that or knocking something over. Or knowing me, I would miss the stud and then find out the hard way that it wasn't studded to the wall, you know. But that is a neat piece, you know. It's just, you know, me, if I tried to mount that, I would miss the stud and have a little whoopsies, you know, and break everything that was on top of it. But 39. Took a couple of woodworking classes 10 years ago and getting back into it now. Of course, I was commissioned to make an engagement ring box for my bride, B-I-L, by, or whatever. Made it out of Wenge, I don't know what that word is, W-E-N-G-E. What I lacked in skills, I made up for in unreal confidence. Wow, that's a neat ring box. That's kind of rare. I tell you what, if I was him, I'd sell some of those fancy jewelry stores that sold fancy diamond rings, you know. 40. Just had our second kid, so I lost my office and made this Murphy-style desk to save space in the bedroom and made from cherry that I milled myself with Alaskan milled from trees in my dad's yard that fell about a year ago. Now that Murphy desk right there, that is a neat idea. I could see doing something like that in a tiny house or an apartment, or even if you're on the road and you built your own RV van, you know, you're a nomad, or what they call it, a nomad, and you live on an RV, that would, yeah, definitely. That would be a neat place. Definitely, I could see that in a tiny house or a small apartment, you know. And definitely a space saver there, you know. Really like that kind of idea, you know. Ooh, optical illusion. 41. What do y'all think of this serving tray I made? That is neat right there, that serving tray. A nice optical illusion. That you can tell somebody took definitely some time on. 42. My dad and I built this stuff years ago. I'm house sitting now for my parents while my dad awaits a new liver, so naturally I'm sitting on the floor in tears, photographed everything more. Cheers to make dad. Wow, that is definitely a neat piece right there. That's a nice rocking chair. I wouldn't mind sitting in that sometime. 43. Ooh, this is neat. An inside-outside shot of the shop door I made. It's popular, black walnut, and multiple resin filled. Natural light comes through the blue bits and also glows in the dark. Ooh, that's a neat door. I'd like to have that on the front of my house. The only problem is, if I had that where I live, if I had that on the front of my house, I'd come home with it wasn't missing because somebody would probably take the time to remove it and steal it probably. But yeah, that is a neat door. 44s. Summer Project Garden Office. That's a neat little garden spot. You know, pretty basic, but still kind of neat. 45. Mandalorian wooden helmet, wood carving oak wood, 6 days of production. 45. Yeah, Star Wars. That, yeah, that is real neat right there. Wow. 46. Depression in woodworking. Yep, I know that, because that's what my garage looks like. A hot mess, as they call it. And I see he really tidied it up. I need to organize my garage and get it looking nice like the picture on the right instead of the picture on the left. 47. I built a tiny house, and this is my latest 20-foot trailer with lots of custom details. Ooh, that is neat right there. That tiny house, yeah. I always thought it'd be neat to build a tiny house, you know. That's one of my ideas I thought it would be neat to do. Build a tiny house. 48. How I open my beers. Ooh, now that's neat right there. That's a neat little thing. I could see using it. That would be something, if I had some of them old vintage Mountain Dew bottles. I know they used to make that Mountain Dew throwback. I think they used to call it in glass bottles. I would definitely like to have that, you know, for a glass bottle of Mountain Dews. And it reminds me almost, the bottom part of it almost reminds me of the game on the Price is Right, Plinko. That's what it reminds me of. 49. I carved this Hellboy and Wolverine cigar holder out of paddock and hornbeam wood. Oh, that's kind of neat. No, I don't care for the whole smoking thing, but that is neat. Neat. I can see the creativity in it. I used to shave my sideburns when I was younger. I used to shave my sideburns to look like Wolverine and Elvis Presley. And I got the hairdo, so I should do that again, regrow my sideburns like that. A lot of people used to like that. Now that's neat. The 50s little folding table, you know, a nice little basic table. That's a pretty neat, you know, comes in handy. I'd be using, if I had that, I'd be using it as a footrest. But yeah, there you have it. This is one of my first kind of reaction videos, and I'll do more, and as time goes on, they'll get better and better, you know. But yeah, if you like this sort of content, you know, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll be probably doing more of this and figuring out all this stuff. You know, I'm new to this whole thing, so yeah. If you like these sort of videos, again, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and hope you have a good day, and comment below what pictures you thought were really cool and everything. And so comment below your thoughts on this again, and hope you all have a good day, and thank you for taking the time to watch this.